Welcome to another DJ Wilson STEM video. So obviously you know what we're doing again. Protractor. Alright, so a couple things I want to make sure that I do. Just talk about the protractor just a little bit. Obviously we have our edge. This is your this side right here is measured at this edge is in inches. Then you have your metric side on the interior side. This line right here that you can see, that is called your center line or your guideline. Me personally, I like to call it your center line or guideline. Then you have this little hole right here in the center, and that is your center hole. And then you have your degree marks around the exterior and the interior. Okay? So for this particular project, I am going to show you how to make these 60 triangle. Okay? That's what we're doing. Now, this is also known as the equilateral triangle. So either way, that's what it's also called. All right, so one of the cool things about the equilateral triangle is because all of the sides, all the angles are equal, all of the sides will be equal too. So when we get down to our measurements, it'll just be really easy for us to do. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to draw a straight line. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the edge of my protractor to draw that straight line. It doesn't matter how long you make that straight line, just make a straight line, okay? If there's any excess, there's this wonderful invention / innovation here that's called an eraser that will erase any extra, okay? So now I've drawn that straight line. I'm going to pick up my protractor and I'm going to put my protractor down and I'm going to make sure that my center line is over that original line that I just drew. Okay, so again, this center line right here, that center line on the protractor, see that? I want to put that over that original line I just drew as best as I can. I want to match them up. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a tick mark here in the center, my center hole. And since my first angle is 60 degrees, I'm going to make my triangle this way, okay? I'm going to look for 60 degrees right here, okay? There's 60 degrees. Can everybody see that? Good. If not, zoom in on your screen. I'm going to make a tick mark right there at 60 degrees. And now what I'm going to do is I have a starting point and I have another point, and I'm just going to draw a line through each one of those dots. Okay? So for our project, right, each of your triangles has to be at least 2 inches, right? Each of the sides has to be at least 2 inches. So I'm going to measure 2 inches from here. So I'm going to put my center, I'm going to put my original line that I drew. I'm going to put my center line over that line again. But I'm going to match it up to where it's at least 2 inches away from this point. So right now, that is exactly 2 inches away. Now again, you don't have to make it this way. You can make yours larger or small, or you can make yours larger if you want. But you don't have to do it exactly how I am. So I'm going to match up that line as best as I can. Now I'm going to repeat that same process I did earlier. I'm going to make a tick mark. However, this time I'm not looking for 60 degrees over here. I'm closing out my triangle this way. So I'm looking for the 60 degree mark right here. Okay? So there's the 60 degree mark. Make that tick mark there. Okay? And then I'm going to repeat that same process that I did before, And this time I'm just going to draw a straight line through both of those. All right. So this right here, that is your equilateral triangle. Now, because of the material that we're using to make this project, we're using 1/8 inch material. So since we're using 1/8 inch material, we have to include that into our project, okay? Now, if you're using 1/2 inch material or 3/4 inch material, then you would have to scale it up appropriately for your project. But for our project, we're using 1/8 inch material. Now again, as I showed you before, this particular protractor does not have the 1/8 inch marks. So I am going to use my handy dandy, trusty Fairgate ruler, okay? That does have 1/8 inch marks. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make some points. So I'm going to take this line first right here, okay? I'm going to measure 1/8 of an inch outside. Okay? And then, since both of those are on the outside, I'm going to now draw a line through each one of those. And that gives me the width of that 8 inch material that I'm going to be using to create this project. All right, to create the actual wooden project of the materials that each of you should have. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to repeat that process on the outside. I'm going to repeat that process to each of the original lines of my triangle, okay? Take mark 1/8 of an inch. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is match all of those up. Draw. That's a little bit off. Draw a line through. I'm going to turn my paper this time. And match those up. Line through. So now I have my triangle. Obviously, what I'm going to do, if you watch the other videos, you know that I will erase the extra parts that I don't need anymore. Those extra lines. Now, as I said, you do not have to do all this extra erasing. I'm not requiring you to do that. Okay? If you want to, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. That's not going to make an impact on your grade as long as I can clearly see your work. Unless you're not in my class, in which, then you're looking at this for fun, then you don't have to either. Okay, so now that that's done, this is my equilateral triangle. I know that each of these angles is going to be 60 degrees. Okay. And now I need to measure my sides. So let's do that. When you measure, again, please make sure you measure from the outside tip to the outside tip. So that is 2.5 inches. Okay. And because this is an equilateral triangle, all of my sides should be equal as well. So this is what your final blueprint for this will look like, okay? I'm gonna create obviously another video that will show you how to actually physically create the actual project. We'll do that a little bit later. But with that being said, if you have any questions or if you're unclear about it, again, please make sure to watch the video. Those of you that are in my class, shoot me an email, or when you're in class, you can ask a specific question about it. I'll be happy to help you out and do my best to answer any questions, okay? With that, hashtag go build something cool, hashtag STEM is fun, hashtag DJ Will. Again, please make sure you guys have a great and fun time, and be well.